Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. This is One Pretty Ricky. This is F5 Radio. We're super excited that we're going to be live here at KRFF, Radio Free Fargo, and Moorhead. Join my co-hosts, Scott College and Adam Martin. Kirsten Hooven is out today, tending to her husband, which is, didn't have the best news, but I don't know if I should share her news, but she's just out today, just doing good things.
Is she pregnant?
No.
We know.
We just talked about menopause last week, and this guy just comes up with that.
I missed it last week, remember?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Take my dog to the vet.
Yeah, so she was talking about how menopause is something else, and so that's what we covered most of the show.
Wow.
But, yeah. You never know. Whatever topic I pick doesn't matter.
Yeah. It's always going to work. When
That's true.
Kirsten's involved, it's going to be wild.
Yep.
And fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she'll be missed.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Cool.
Yeah. So we are live. We are live on Facebook. We're live on the radio.
FBO.
We are FBL. So today, you guys are going to be super excited because tomorrow is the day to vote. So hopefully, if you have the opportunity and have already, that you get to vote. So this is going to be a really this is going to be a fun day. I'm really looking forward to it. But the topic is the importance of voting. So, Scott, who'd you vote for? No, I'm just kidding. You don't have to tell us.
We all know who Scott's going to vote for. I don't know why this is even a topic.
We do not know that. That's the joy of voting and having those hidden booths.
Oh.
Nobody knows. I could be a closet.
That's true. Yeah. Yep.
Oh, who are you voting for?
Whoever I feel has got the best opportunity to improve the United States of America.
That's very subjective,
It is.
by the way.
Yeah.
So,
It's, for me, great means economy.
yeah, make America great again.
Nope,
Is that
nope,
what? Is
that's
that
not
what?
That's not what I said. What I said is our economy is.
I'm gonna vote for who's ever gonna make America great again.
Okay. That's not what I said.
Oh, there it goes. There's the fall of America right there.
Oh, no.
Oh.
And it keeps going down. Get out and vote. This is gonna get fun. So.
Well, just before we even get into that, I just want to make sure that we get out to the wires that people with felony backgrounds in Minnesota and North Dakota can vote in these elections. So it doesn't matter if you have federal felonies or state felonies or if you have misdemeanors. The only barrier to voting for people with felony backgrounds is if they're locked up. So if you're not locked up, you're not on inmate status. Meaning, because there are some people that are on inmate status that are in transitional homes. If you're on inmate status or you're locked up, you cannot vote. But outside of that, you can be on probation, you can be on parole, you can be off paper, you can have felony background, misdemeanor background. North Dakota, Minnesota, you can vote.
And you can be on either federal or state.
And
Correct?
Yes,
Okay.
you can be on state or federal probation. And if you happen to be in jail and you're only there and you only have a misdemeanor background, you can actually ask for a ballot.
Really?
Yeah, because you're not on a felony. You're not there for a felony.
So if you were in jail for a DUI,
Hypothetically, let's say a guy's never been in trouble before and he's in pre-trial sentencing and he has not been sentenced yet, technically he can vote.
That's
So-
wild.
That is wild. Because it used to be, I thought, if you're locked up, you can't vote,
no matter what.
But actually, there's a loophole to it. If you're locked up and you only have a misdemeanor background, or you're only locked up for a misdemeanor, or you haven't been sentenced yet and you don't have a criminal record of any kind, you can vote.
Huh.
So does it matter in the pretrial if it's a felony or
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because you haven't been convicted.
You haven't been convicted.
Right.
Yep. So
Good to know.
yeah, I mean, I feel like that's probably going to be an anomaly or whatever. But I mean, if you look at our jail, I mean, most of the people in there probably have criminal records, but 70% of people who are in jail are on pretrial sentencing. And so there might be some guys in there who've never been in trouble before, like they got their first DUI, or they're 19 years old, never been in trouble before, and they got charged with a felony. They technically can vote. Yeah.
Huh.
Wild, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It almost makes you want to like go to the jail and like ask for a report.
Who could vote?
Yeah.
Who wants to vote?
In some states, they can still vote if they're locked up.
Which technically, I mean, you can look and see who's in the jail. I don't know if you can see what they're in jail for.
I mean, you would have to look and see who's in jail and run background checks on all of them.
Right.
That would take. I mean, we have over 300 people or whatever that are in the jail. That would take for. I mean, elections tomorrow.
Right.
So
Might have want to started this earlier. But we kind of do in the
It
F5
sounds like a
style.
weekend
Yeah.
project. Yep. Yeah. Well, that's really cool.
yeah.
So it was kind of cool. I was in a conversation last week, I think it was Friday, with one of our team members, and she was talking about how it was really cool that her mom gets to vote. And her mom never knew that until you were talking about, people with felony backgrounds can vote.
Yeah.
And especially because correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Minnesota just change the law this year, like in August?
Yeah. Yeah. They just switched. It used to be, as crazy as it sounds, North Dakota was actually more reformed to voting rights than Minnesota
Yeah,
was.
that's what I thought.
It used to be in North Dakota, you could vote no matter what, like if you were on probation, parole, whatever. And the only time you couldn't vote is if you were locked up. Minnesota, you actually had to complete probation or parole before you had to be off paper before you could vote, and then they just recently switched it last year to be reflective of just like North Dakota.
Yeah, I think KVLY did a piece on that, like in front of the courthouse, saying in August it changed.
Yep.
The law had changed where people that are on parole or probation, some kind of paper, could vote in Minnesota now. So
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah,
So get out there.
get out and vote. Use
Use
your
your
voice. Oh,
Oh, there it is.
Wow.
Oh,
Ricky, who'd you vote for?
I haven't voted yet.
Oh, you haven't? Oh, it's such a cop out.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was
okay.
specifically waited. I was like, you know what? I picked this topic. I'm gonna wait till
Do
tomorrow.
you think anyone just assumes they know who you're going to vote for?
Oh, 100%.
Why?
Like when Barack Obama was first in office.
I don't understand.
what do you mean?
There'd be no way. Absolutely
I'm not
no way.
answering that.
Scott's one of those people who'd be like, I don't see color.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
But it was interesting. I was reading, there's a statistic, I think it's 72% or something like that of people, if you haven't voted by the time you turned 18, or like, in that first election, in your first,
Your
Like
first cycle after turning 18?
Yeah.
Yeah.
that the chances are you probably won't vote.
You know what was crazy is last night I was talking to my son, my 16-year-old son, and he was like, you know what's crazy, Dad? The next time there's an election, I'll be able to vote.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I'm getting old. And I was
That's
like,
what you took out.
he was like,
Right.
and then he
Straight to
straight
him.
asked me, he was like, who'd you vote for? And then I told him who I voted for. He's like, huh, not what I would have thought.
That's hilarious.
And I was like, my own son doesn't even like and then he just said, he's like, you could go one way or the other
Yeah.
or whatever. And I was like, I think that's the type of people that we need, like in politics, is to make decisions based on going one way or the other, not just a straight party line,
Right.
That's where I'm at. What I said is, I wish.
Did Scott College just say that he's at where he's more about the situation rather than the party line?
Oh yeah. I've evolved.
Oh,
For me, anyway.
Yeah.
But I wish, and I know this is like a utopia idea, but I wish we had somebody that would just step up and say, you know what? I don't care what you did in your past and all the things I'm digging up on you. Mine are worse than yours. Yours are worse. I wish there was somebody that stood up as a candidate and just said, you know what? I don't really care. I'm not going to talk anything about these people. I'm going to tell you what I can do to change the country,
Right.
to affect the economy, to affect, our borders, to affect all of, helping people, all of those things. If you could give me those, that's the person I'd vote for.
Right.
But right now I'm like in a dilemma because both of them are like, that's all I heard is how terrible the other one is.
Right.
Yeah.
But
And I don't, and that's politics. I get it. Everybody's like, well, that's politics. I'm like, I get that.
Right.
But wouldn't it be refreshing to just have somebody come in and say, you know what, Ricky, I really don't care what you did, but here's what I can do. What can you do?
Right.
You
If
know,
you
it'd
and
be
I were
cool
running.
if they had a debate, and then they were just like, all they could do is say nice things about the other person.
Oh, that would be exciting.
Which, I mean, it's crazy. So I was just watching, like, I went down a rabbit hole on Saturday night. Like, so there's a, like, you know how they do, like, rap battles where,
Yeah.
you talk bad about the other person. There's it's called the nice battle. And so it's rappers, like, saying compliments about the other person. And it's good. Because it's, like, it's weird. It's like this person is, like, lifting up their
Yeah.
opponent, but saying, like, all these, like, positive things about how they, like, have great hygiene and just all the, like, you don't really actually know, but, but
you
it
ever
was
see
cool to
that
be able
Keel
to
and
see.
Peele episode
Yeah.
where they were just like, where they said really nice things to each other, but they looked
Just
like
back
they were
and
going to
forth.
get in a fight?
Yeah. But it was just like just amped up and just
Yeah.
kept getting like hype and hype. But I think
You're
that'd be-
amazing at barbecue. Wow. Your mom did a great job raising you.
Yeah, like, but I mean, I think that'd be kind of cool to like
I-
actually have positive things
Yeah.
about the other person.
Oh, Megan just asked me who I voted for.
Oh, we're not. No, Megan. It's,
Well, who
it's
do you think he
8:17.
voted
I
for?
voted,
and then
I,
go
voted,
opposite?
I voted independently across, like, I didn't vote across a party
Total
line.
party line. Yeah.
There was some Republicans I voted for. There was some Democrats that I voted for. On the local ones or whatever, I voted for a Republican governor or whatever. So it was back and forth across the board. So it probably defeated each other all the way across or whatever. But
Well, I don't want people to think that that's the whole point of voting is that you doesn't matter how.
it should be vote for the person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not vote for the party.
Yeah.
Because traditionally, I think like African Americans vote Democratic, traditionally, because that's kind of how things have always gone for us. But that's not the point. Just because somebody's Democratic does not make them the right candidate. But if that's all you know, or if you don't do any history or don't do any reading, like I think that's been one of the best things that I'm glad. Like my mom always like instilled in me and my sister. She was like, vote, like do your research, like go in there and have at least a rough idea. And she was specifically talking about like, so in California it's measures. I think here it's like propositions or whatever the thing
There's
might be.
measures here too.
Is it? Yeah. Or maybe ours are like it's like prop Y, prop A, whatever the propositions are in here, their measures. But it's like,
I
do
think
your
that's-
research about it.
And I think that's probably the most difficult thing about voting is trying to figure out those measures because it's almost like that.
They write
that
them so bad.
MMPI test you have to take. I had to take that psychological test when I got into law enforcement.
Yep.
And the question,
How did you get into law enforcement?
I don't know. I was like, did I pass? But I don't know if you've ever
What's high
taken
score mean?
if you've ever taken that test, but what they do is they ask these questions here, and then they ask them again somewhere else, but they're changed. So they're trying to see if your
Oh.
answers change.
Yeah.
So it's very,
Oh.
very confusing. You know, it's like you
Yeah.
have to be like, but I feel that way about the measures. Like I start reading them, and I'm like, okay, what does yes mean again?
Yeah.
So I don't, like the one that I'm.
Oh, on this one too. They're confusing.
Yeah.
You have to read them a few times to like really, like, am I voting for property taxes or against it? Because I have
Right.
no idea what
It's
this
like-
just said.
Yes, I don't want property taxes. It's
Yeah,
like, wait,
why
what?
don't you just ask that? Do you
Right.
want property taxes or not?
Right.
No, yes.
Because if you vote yes, you're actually defeating it.
See,
Right.
that's what I'm talking about.
And which, for my opinion, which isn't worth a lot, but it's mine, is that we need to be careful with this. Really careful, because everybody's just looking at, oh, I don't have to pay property taxes anymore.
It's gonna.
But it's gonna, and everybody's like, well, we got all this money in the
legacy
general
fund.
fund, and everybody, it takes a lot of money to run a state. So, the idea is if we get rid of property taxes, that's where we're going to start seeing like the rural schools.
Right.
They're going to be affected hugely. Our first responders are going to be affected huge. For me, that's the part that really
Wow.
gets to me.
You hear him right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scott said, "Don't defund the police."
Yes. Do not. Or wait, see what happens. Just do it.
Thank you, Scott. That was perfect.
was waiting for the Scott Collins to come out.
Kind of like when I step back and watch something implode, and you're just like, "Why didn't you say anything?" I did 3 times.
Yeah.
You just didn't listen.
What
So-
all does property taxes pay for?
Oh, there's just a ton of.
Let us know in the comments.
Let us know what's in the comments. If you feel like the property taxes are legit and they pay for legitimate things or whatever, or if they don't or they should be eliminated, like put it in the comments. Because I 100% like I know it pays for something.
It pays for a lot.
Nobody ever talks about, like when they're talking about eliminating property taxes, they don't ever talk about what it's going to eliminate with the taxes.
Well, they do in their
Outside of eliminating it for each individual person that owns properties. But they don't talk about like, well, if we eliminate this, it's going to be good because it's also going to eliminate school lunches or something. You know what I mean?
Right, and even like in their ad, they talk about there's going to be like a 3.7. I can't remember if that somebody's going to correct me. I'm sure, but it's a lot. It's like billions of dollars, and the people that are the proponents for it aren't giving an explanation how you're going to replace that.
Right.
So what that means is we're going to get, in the long run, it's going to be higher taxes.
Right.
And that's where people don't see it, because the fear I have as somebody that's in recovery is that instant gratification.
Right.
Boom, I got rid of taxes. My life's going to be awesome.
Right.
And then a year down the road, it's like, what the heck is this? I just got my other taxes, my income tax went
Right.
through the roof.
Or sales tax.
Or sales tax.
Something.
Or
Yeah, it's going to come.
some other way that money has to be gathered. And, the thing is, if you own a house, there's responsibilities that come with that.
Right.
And it's the streets, the infrastructure, everything that exists runs off of that property taxes, from my understanding. But I could be wrong.
Yeah. But I think that's how.
But I do know it will affect first responders.
Yeah.
And I know that is, for me, that's a huge piece.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's the tough part, because I feel like when you think of property taxes, it's like how many. I mean, obviously I own our house, but we live here. But if I didn't live here and I owned property in North Dakota, let's say I lived in California.
Listen, let me ask you, how much did you pay in property taxes last year?
1938.
The fact that he knows that is mind-blowing, because most people don't know exactly how much they paid. That's why I'm saying that this is like a lot of times a non-issue, because it's just like you're going to pay taxes somewhere.
Right.
I'd rather just I make one payment every month for my mortgage and all that, like everything. It just magically goes to where it's supposed to go.
Right.
Right. The insurance, all that.
All
Yeah.
Yep.
And then every once in a while, at the end of the year, I got to pay. If anything, we should eliminate my personal taxes at the end of the year. Like
That's called income tax.
Income tax. We should eliminate income tax.
Oh,
I
man.
Oh, okay. I'm for that.
yeah.
No, because it is going to come
Keep
out
the
somewhere
property
else.
taxes. Eliminate
my
income
gosh.
tax.
No, nope, that won't work.
That's the problem, because like to Scott's point, like if we eliminate income tax, all that money that's generated from poor to rich, it's got to come from somewhere.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't mind paying taxes because I enjoy having a nice road. I want the kids in the schools to get the top-notch education. I don't feel like you should have to go to private school to get all that access, right? If kids over here are getting iPads when they go to school and can learn at a faster rate than the kids over here who don't get iPads, let's find a way to get the iPads over to these kids. And if I got to pay an extra $10 a month or whatever for a kid to have an iPad or whatever, like awesome, because it's better for the community. But if some rich guy is going to come through and just say, I want to eliminate property taxes because I have 1,000 properties, then good for you. You have 1,000 properties, right? This guy over here is barely making it by. Let's maybe make sure he can eat.
Right.
Yep. I guess that's just how, if that makes me a Democrat, then so be it. But I remember at one time, Republicans cared about everybody. And it seems like I'm saying that lately, it seems like they care about their own self-agenda.
And I think
What?
for me right now, that's kind of I'm kind of in a quandary as far as
Yeah.
my decision making because of the fact that I am, by all standards, a Republican.
Mm-hmm.
But because of how
Cares
right
about
the right has got,
his own self agenda. That's what he
not-
just.
no, that's not what I said. What I'm trying to say is that I'm really in that spot where I care about people. I wouldn't be doing the job that I do
Right.
if I didn't have that empathy for people and that care, and I want to be able to lift somebody up and help them, and allow them to help themselves. And I think part of that is that the Republican Party has gone so far to the right on certain things that it's pushed me
Okay.
towards the middle.
I take that back. It's the extremists,
There you go. That's
okay,
the point.
on both sides
Right.
Yes.
that are making it worse for everybody else. Okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind
I
of
won't blanket.
Right. I've always told my buddy that who used to be Ed is his name. He used to be he's a Democrat, and I said, a North Dakota Democrat is the Republican that I look for in context because of the way they do. I think the Democrats do a good job of trying to balance that of helping people but still holding people accountable.
Right.
Those are the things that I think when it gets so far right or so far left, the people like ourselves get stuck in the middle of it.
Right.
And it's like, because as soon as I say I'm Republican, everybody's like, "Oh, you hate everybody. You want
Right. Because there's a connotation that
to
comes
move
with that.
everybody out of this country." It's like, no, that's not what I want.
Right.
I want to be able to have people make a living and do good things and live a good life. But there's got to be give and take there.
Right.
And I think that's where both sides have gotten so far. And the crazy thing for me is this far left and this far right say the same thing about each other. That's what kills me. It's like, can you believe these people are doing this? And then the other one goes, can you believe it? And it's the same damn thing.
Right.
And it's just like, what? So
And I think that's
Anyway.
and that's the importance. I think really
Damn
the-
property taxes. You see where you sent us?
not sending us to property taxes. But I think the bigger part of that is like understanding like, okay, voting in your national election, voting your president, that has significant connotations, but you like probably won't really see a big change.
Yeah.
Like when I voted for Obama the first time, like there wasn't really much he did necessarily directly that affected me for quite some time. But whereas if I like voted for somebody on like my park board, or even at the time on my school board, like I didn't have Ricky, I didn't have kids, so like
Yeah.
school voting for a school board member didn't really necessarily affect me at the time. But now I'm like way more like focused. Like, okay, well, how do you actually feel? Like, what are you actually gonna do for diversity? What are you gonna really do for like books? Or what are you gonna like all these different changes? Like now the issue makes more of a difference.
Yeah.
So I think the importance and kind of the understanding of like getting out to just vote somehow is not necessarily voting like how you think right now, but like where
Yeah.
this could go. Like if Measure 4 doesn't pass, right? Yeah. If it doesn't go through and property taxes are eliminated, what does that look? That probably won't really affect my bottom line on November 6th. But November 6th next year, it might.
Yeah.
Like looking at it from that perspective, like it doesn't matter necessarily like what's going to happen right now, but how is this going to work out for the long term?
yeah,
But I don't know if people do that.
Right, and that's what I was saying about that instant gratification. It's that idea of if I do this right now, boom, I'm going to have all this money in my pocket.
Right.
Well, you might for a little bit, but sooner or later, somebody has to be paid for.
Yep. Yeah.
And we have to decide who's. Megan had a long spiel on here.
Ooh, read it. Let's hear it.
You want me to read it?
Hold it. You grab it. I will do our quick commercial break and then we'll come back.
Okay.
So if you're just tuning in, this is Radio Free Fargo 95.9 KRFF LP Community Radio. This is F5 Radio with One Pretty Ricky, Adam Martin, Scott College. So we want to just give a little quick shout out to our business owners, managers, nonprofit organizations. If you are looking to advertise, would you want to learn more about what underwriting a nonprofit community radio station looks like? Want to check that out? RadioFreeFargo.org, or you can go on Facebook. For those who are on Facebook Live, check them out. KRFF 95.9. Let listeners know you support community radio as well. And we, of course, want to thank, being able to have this wonderful station is only possible because of some people who are looking to advertise, like Drummer's Journey. They're underwriting programming, including our show. And then Drummer's Journey offers percussion instruments, hardware, electronics, accessories, and more. They have full service for drummers, including repair, custom building, as well as lessons. Drummer's Journey is located over in Moorhead at Highway 10 East Mall. Their hours are Monday through Thursday, 11 to 7, Fridays and Saturdays, 11 to 5, Sundays, noon to 5. And if you want to get some more info, check them out on Facebook or drummersjourney.com. So, Scott, you said Megan Megan Invic works for us here at F5 Project. She shared a little something.
She's before that, her and Rachel are working on the Opportunity Gala we're having on November 14th, and that's I think the tickets are officially not on sale anymore. They're closed
for the meal.
Yeah, for the meal.
You could still do the virtual up to the day of.
But today they wanted me to remind everyone that we're looking for donations. We're looking for silent auction baskets. So ideas would be like movie nights, game nights, spa days, like coffee, gift certificates, whatever. Like, put these baskets together, donate them to F5. You can contact Rachel at 701-317-1777 or message the Facebook page, the F5 Project page, if you have some silent auction items you'd like to donate.
Yeah. Need a bunch of my friends to reach out to me, and if you own a business, do a silent auction item. Help us. Help people.
Help us, help you, help people.
Yes. You'll feel good about it.
Right.
For us, me. Super good.
So did you want to read what she's had to say?
I don't know. So she says
was it not as good as you thought, Scott? Now that you had a chance to read
going
it?
against what I'm saying.
Oh, I like it. Okay.
And she sounds kind of like a politician, Megan.
Oh, boy.
So I think the point with this measure and getting it passed is that reform needs to happen to get rid of bloat in local government, and local governments are not listening. Property taxes continue to go up exponentially, and we are all still seeing bloat in local budgets. This type of movement forces a discussion to the table and makes everyone relook how we fund things and what's essential.
You don't agree, Scott? Tell me about it. Let's talk about it.
I just feel like it's
She also said, I'm not saying which way I'm voting. I'm just saying I understand both sides. Wanted to share logic from one of the sides.
Oh, that's good.
She said, because she put on there, she's like, make sure you read this one too.
She also said Ted Cruz ran on eliminating the IRS.
Yeah, of course he did. I wish I could run on things and make promises I'll never keep. Yeah.
Right. You're not a politician, though.
No.
So, does that? Oops. Yeah.
Yep.
No, I think what she's doing. This is what I'm talking about, is having people talk about both sides of it. The benefits to it, and I agree with her. We have to figure out how do we, slow down the property taxes and those costs. But eliminating them is not the answer, in my opinion. Again, in my opinion, because I feel like that will just have a real negative effect across the state on a lot of the things that get supported through our property taxes, and I don't think everybody's looking at that fully as what it could do.
Right.
Maybe instead of meeting every year or like in North Dakota, it's every 2 years. Maybe if we wanted to slow things down, like tax-wise, we force a vote that they can only meet once every 7 years.
See, that's the hard part
because there's issues that need to be settled right away. Yeah,
because then
of course.
It's like, all right, well, if I vote this way, I can't change it for the next 7 years. Most people can't even think about what's going to happen tomorrow.
No, then we shouldn't be voting anyways then. Because if we can't even know what we're voting on or whatever, and it has to be in like such a almost Japanese like language for us to like understand it. I know that sounds racist, but it's like, I don't know how else to put it. I can't read Japanese. And when I read these measures, a lot of times I have no idea what it's saying. And so it's either like I don't vote because I don't know what it's saying, or I vote what I think it's saying.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can't ask anybody there.
Yeah. No, you can't talk to anybody.
No.
And I think he meant a foreign language.
Got it.
Like I wouldn't understand a foreign language.
That's what Japanese is. It's a foreign language.
And several of them. Any of them. I can't read Chinese. I can't read any of those. So yeah, that's what
Please
we meant.
edit that out. Adam saying stuff again.
And then Megan did say, it's not about instant gratification and not wanting to pay. It's about reform. Doing that without a plan is a horrible idea, but I see both sides. And I guess what I'm saying, I'm not saying the people that are implementing this are looking for instant gratification. I guess the fear I have is that when people vote on it, it's because of that instant gratification that they'll see results immediately.
Right.
So I guess that's what I was saying, Megan.
Yeah. But I mean,
We will talk at 9:30, Megan.
Yep.
We have a meeting.
Yep. I don't know if you heard that, Megan. Scott said he'll straighten you out.
No, that's not what I said. No. But I just think it's important. I think that's the biggest part of this is, again, them doing a better job of explaining what these measures are about, and what we're looking at. Because what's measure 5 is the marijuana one, right? Legalizing marijuana.
Well, yes. Listen, this is where I stand with it. I don't think that people should be going to jail or prison for marijuana. I think that there's people out there that shouldn't use it. There's people out there that use it socially. There's people out there that are like super anti against it, that they come up with like the craziest stories about how it's like heroin. You know what I mean? I think to me, it's no different than alcohol being legal.
Right.
And if alcohol can be legal and we can tax it, and it has literally in North Dakota, like it's not like alcohol, because alcohol has the highest death and incarceration rate of any drug outside of methamphetamines. And it's legal, and we have bars and we have all that, and people get to benefit from it, and we benefit from the taxes of the sales and stuff like that. I don't see any difference between, actually I see vast difference, because I don't know a lot of people that are getting like DUIs and crashing into people because of marijuana. It's alcohol. So, I mean, I'm not advocating that we go back to prohibition and make alcohol illegal. I'm saying that there's reasons that people are not for legalizing it, and it has nothing to do with the harms of it.
They're not very qualified reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. But I do say that, part of, it's like everything else, like Governor Burgum was talking last week on the stage about addiction and the power of it and what it's doing. Yeah. And I love his story about, we have 300 people dying a day. And his example was, if a plane crashed today and 300 people died, it'd be like top story news. Right. This is crazy. This is terrible. In day 2, it happens. Another 300 people die. We'd be like, oh my gosh, we need to do something. And then day 3, it happens. Another 300 people. People would stop flying. Right. But because of the way overdoses and addiction is taking people, it's individual. Right. So you have one over here, one over here.
Oh, it's because of who.
Right.
It's going to not be like,
well,
I mean,
both.
If it was 300 people on an airplane, like people would start asking questions immediately because of the demographic of people who fly. Now, if we're talking about a bus, 300 people on a bus are dying, it would take, I'm not saying that they won't ask questions. I'm saying that it would take longer to ask questions. But because if somebody came out and said, it's not the bus, it's not the airplane, it's travel, right? It's like people always come up with these audacious ideas of what the real problem is, and we never actually get to the solution.
Right. And I think that was his point. He was just saying, because, usually don't, like you said, you don't hear about a bus crash. You might hear about a bus crash. Right. Oh, yeah, that was bad. But when a plane crashes, everybody.
Yeah, right? Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's the same thing that happened with methamphetamines and fentanyl.
Yeah.
Right? Methamphetamines were killing They were killing like Native Americans. They were killing people that are within the margins.
Yep.
Right. And then fentanyl started killing off rich white kids, and then people were like, "Oh my God, stop traveling on airplanes." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing here. Is that there's no solution. The greatest solution that North Dakota came up with was actually a good one, but it wasn't anything that was done by the politicians. It was done by our governor and the first lady. Let's build out a community. What's the opposite of addiction? It's community. It's love. It's grace or whatever. Let's build this out together and build out an ecosystem. Right. And for the first time ever, without any necessary help from outside lobbyists or legislators or whatever, there was a whole system that was built off a fellowship of people who were all like-minded. And for the first time ever in North Dakota history, the overdose rates went down. Right. That should indicate to legislators, to people, to families, that it was never about punishment. Because if it was about punishment, then when we were the fourth fastest growing prison system in America, the overdose rate would have went down. Right. And what happened? It skyrocketed. Uh-huh. You can only kick a dog so many times before it bites. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You can only lock a dog in a kennel for so long. But if a dog comes out of a kennel and it's always in the kennel and then it craps on the floor. Sorry, I said a cuss word. Yep. If it, make sure you tell Travis. Uh-huh. And it craps on the floor, and then you beat it because it crapped on the floor and it didn't know any better, and then you put it back in its kennel. What's it going to do? It comes back out again. Right. Eventually, it's not going to learn that way. Mm-hmm. But if you have some accountability for the dog and you bring it outside and do what we do to train dogs or whatever, it will do what it's supposed to do. The same thing goes for human beings. Right? If you're going to punish them and beat them and throw them in the hole and stuff like that, it's only going to cause trauma, and trauma is the gateway drug to overdose. Right. 100%.
100%. And I think that's the other thing he talked about was of the 74, I think it's departments that he has, the question was asked, does addiction affect you? And some of them said no, and then they started looking at things. Mm-hmm. And now, like he said with the Highway Patrol, he asked them if addiction was eliminated, or, that we were able to eliminate or at least do a better job of maintaining this. But if we eliminated it, what percentage of your job would go away? And they said 80%. In the surveys, most of them said over 80%.
Jeez.
So think about it. Highway Patrol, DUIs, accidents. How many accidents are caused by
I thought you were talking in general.
No.
Not like first responders and...
But think about that.
Their jobs would...
Think about it. How many people,
alcohol
or drugs are involved? It's the same thing we talk about. I always like to bring up have you seen the movie Fist Fight?
Yes.
You know I'm going to bring it up, right? So Charlie Day is in it. And he's talking to the teacher, the other gal. If you haven't seen it, it's hilarious. But she's like, he goes, "Are you using meth again?" She goes, "Yeah," because she was buzzing everywhere. And he said, and then he looks at her. She goes, "Yeah, that's bad, right?" And he goes, "Yeah." She goes, "Kind of the gateway drug." And he goes, "No, that's the end of the line." Drug. So I think it's the idea of, to me, that's a topic that we should be looking at. Mm-hmm. Is how do we, and again, the governor and the first lady have done an amazing job of bringing this to the forefront, to be dealt with and to look at. Right. And the more we do as communities to help build people up, exactly what we do at F5, try to help people rebuild their lives.
Yep.
So, that's the crazy part of it.
So do you guys feel like obviously the importance of voting, so Scott, doing the research, doing the surveys, it's all about, getting history, learning, doing your research. Do you feel that people who don't go out and do the research, who just vote all willy-nilly, is that important for them to still vote, even if they don't know?
Yeah, I think it's still important that they vote. Because it's, the piece of it that
if they don't know?
If they don't know. If they don't know anything.
Well, if they haven't invested the time.
They're just showing up to vote, to check the box?
Yeah.
Okay.
I still think it's important because I think part of that is, we want to sit and complain about all the things that are wrong. Mm-hmm. But if we're not willing, that's why we're United States is built the way it is built,
Yep.
is you have an opinion. You can make a difference, because a lot of people, well, my vote doesn't really matter.
Right.
It's like, yes, it does. Because I think for two reasons. Your vote counts because you are putting out in there what you want for change, but it also is the mindset I impacted this.
Yep.
That I had a part. I have a responsibility as an American citizen to go out and vote and make this a part of what I do.
Right.
Whether my party wins, their party, whoever it is, if I don't have a party, it doesn't really matter. It's the idea that you're willing to take the time, because we always hear that, if you're going to sit and not go vote, then you don't have a right to complain.
Right.
And I really believe that.
Yeah, there's a opposing view to that. They think that there's a lot of people that think that if you don't know anything about anything or whatever, that you should not vote. You should not use your voice to vote on something you have no idea what you're talking about. But I think that voting is, it means something to be a citizen.
Right.
It means something. This is why I've always been, I think people even in prison, in jail, should be able to vote. I don't think you should ever lose your right to vote, because I'm a citizen of America, right? And that means something. It's supposed to mean something.
Yeah, you should be
Right?
proud of that.
Yeah, you should not. One citizen to another citizen should never be able to take the rights away from another citizen. I don't care if it's 50 citizens or 100 or whatever. The right to vote is like the basic right of being born in this country. And I don't think that right should ever go away. Do I think that people should still, I'm not anti-prison. I'm not anti-paying your debt to society and stuff like that. But I think that there's some unalienable rights that I should always have no matter what. And voting at the smallest level. Voting should never go away. As soon as you turn 18 years old and you're a citizen of this United States, you should be able to vote no matter what. Yeah. Outside of that, should you go to prison for committing crimes? Yes. I'm not saying that. But voting it means something. So I think you should always vote no matter what.
Yeah, and that's something that I always try to continue to encourage to, especially any person of color. It's like, it wasn't that long ago when we didn't get an opportunity, or when my vote would have been 3/5 of your guys' vote.
Right.
Or even women. Women weren't allowed to vote for, I had the year, now I forgot it. But it wasn't that long ago when women were just allowed to be able to vote.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
What was it? Do you remember? Was it 1919?
No, I think it was 1920, something like that. Women were just allowed to vote. When you figure America's been around for
since 1776,
which is crazy.
That's
It took
crazy.
well over 150 years.
Yeah,
give or take, to be able to get an opportunity to be able to have again an unalienable right to be able to, whether you're.
I just couldn't imagine being the guy who's putting those laws in effect and just be like, listen, unless you're just like me, you're not allowed to vote.
Yep.
That is crazy where we came from.
But I think that goes back to the fact that how people grow up. With these crazy ideas, if your parents had these ideas, and that's how we change it, is to start to realize that I don't have to do what my parents did.
Right.
They didn't have the knowledge that I have. We didn't have the availability that I have today to make informed decisions, which sometimes I don't make, because I get stuck on an issue or my side of it, and I'm not willing to look at that side. That's when I get one-sided, and that's when it's really I really, and then I look back at times when I was doing that, and I really start to think about how one-sided I really was. I had this view of this is who you are and who we are, and and this job has really, my recovery in this job has opened my eyes to so many things that if I don't look at that other side, I can't really give a fair assessment of what's really going on.
Right.
And that's why it's always, that old saying, there's two sides to every story. And that goes for everybody. But the problem is, I think sometimes people don't want to see the other side. They only want to see their side.
Yeah.
And
It's
you're not willing to
uncomfortable.
look. Yeah.
It sucks.
And the thing is, I think people get almost aggressive to the point they go on the offensive
Right.
to get people to back down on their opinion. know, or what they believe.
Right.
And that's called bullying. I don't know if you know that, but that's what it's called.
What?
Oh.
So anyway,
Yeah, and it's a dangerous place to be when you're willing to, when you feel so strongly on anything and are willing to suppress or push down somebody else's opinion or perspective on saying they're wrong and poking them in the chest. You know what I mean? Like all
Right.
that type of.
or call them names. You know,
But it's nothing
because
to do
of
with
your
the issue.
belief, this is
Right.
you're an idiot or you're this or you're that, and it's like,
Hmm.
how can you do that? How do you feel comfortable doing that?
How can you be the president of the United States?
No,
Right, both sides.
we're not on the show.
Oh, we're not going to do that.
Nope.
Oh, I
We
thought
have-
he was just making the claim that if you call other people names, that you should just get out of the way.
Yes, but we were.
But that would be everybody.
Everybody.
A bunch of people, especially that are running for president.
Oh, you're
They
really
both have
lowering
to
the
be-
bar of what name calling is.
They both have to step away.
Yeah.
You're an idiot. You're not nice. They both just name called.
Huh?
Oh my god.
It's like Hegel. You're just not a nice person.
Not a nice person. Oh.
Okay.
Well, again, I think more than anything with like, you know, our last 8 minutes or so, if we haven't stressed it enough, please, 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 just do some research. You have your, hopefully you have a phone to be able to go online. There's a website called What's the 411. Yeah, what's the 411.org. You can look up any measure. You can look up how a person has voted. Just, again, do your research. Even if you don't, obviously we're encouraging you to do your research, but even if you don't do the research, please just get out and vote, because it's so important to be able to have a perspective or be able to know how people feel, because again, people are going to complain regardless, but we want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity. Everyone should have an opportunity to vote, felon or otherwise, black, white,
Everybody.
Everybody.
please, please,
As long as you're
please.
18.
Yep.
Which, yeah, another thing.
It's probably best that it was.
We should allow 14-year-olds to vote.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. I was going with the 21-year-old.
Thank you,
You're
Scott.
18.
Yep, exactly.
You can go to
We were
war.
dialing. We were
Yeah, or
dialed
you
in.
can vote, but you can't go in the bar and drink.
Yep.
You know, so. But Rachel had a pretty cool one here.
Okay.
I love Rachel.
Oh,
Yep.
jeez.
I can tell that Scott is still buzzing on the Vikings win because he's sounding very smart. LOL.
Oh.
She put the LOL on there because he's not.
I'm not very smart. See, there's not being nice.
That's
name
There's a
calling.
difference between not being nice and name calling.
Is it?
Is there?
Yes, 100%. If I'm not being nice, that's your view of me, right? It's subject. Like if I'm saying you vote inappropriately and wrong and you shouldn't be in office, am I not being nice or am I telling the truth? Like,
But again,
but if
on
I
what
was
your
like you're an
opinion
idiot, that's different.
No, it's not. It really isn't. It's like you've already decided. You're trying to sugarcoat.
No,
Yeah, you
you're
are.
sugarcoating
No,
right now.
You're sugarcoating.
Yes, you are.
What you're trying to say is you're an idiot for voting that way. But I'm going to say to you, you know, I don't agree with your opinion, and it's not a really great opinion. So
Yeah.
But you should think about what you're voting on.
Yeah,
That's the same thing.
that's not the same
yes, it is,
thing.
because you're trying to get me to think like you.
No, there's one way of relaying information, and then there's another way of being hurtful. There's two different ways there.
Bricky?
I get your perspective, but I still feel like regardless of how you're trying to relay the information, the hurt still, if Scott's hurt from it,
Yeah,
that's
Right.
that's
still-
him. That's on him.
Oh,
But if you
But
say
that's
that, but
okay
then that
then?
means you're not like.
If I was hurt, if I was like, you're an idiot, that's on me. If I'm saying that you don't know what you're talking about and you're voting on measures that are going to inappropriately affect people, then that's me telling the truth about what I believe.
But
And
that's-
if you're hurt by that, that's on you.
but
But the problem is that means that you won't change, because if you don't see him being hurt as a problem because of something you said, that means you're just.
I
gonna
think we
continue
need to use a different example rather than like on voting stuff, because
But my point
like
is
if I was like
that-
saying you're not a good person and you're hurting a lot of people and it wasn't true, then yeah, that's hurtful and you should feel hurt and I should be held accountable for that. But if I'm saying that let's go, man.
And you are a really nice guy when you're not talking.
Yes, that's not hurtful.
Oh, not at all.
Not at all.
But you're assuming I don't know. Your idea is different than mine. So you're assuming you just made an assumption that I don't know what I'm
Yeah,
talking about.
100% don't agree.
Right, but that doesn't mean I don't know what I'm not. That I'm not. That's your opinion.
Yeah, yeah,
Right, but
and it's
if-
right.
And if I said, see, there it is. There it is. Now we're done.
Yep.
Yeah, I
Yep.
just made my point.
Oh man, we just wasted the last
Oh, that was.
radio show
That was-
on you trying to prove something wrong that's not
You
right.
may be right.
No,
Adam.
I
You
am
may-
right.
You may be right, Adam. Woo! I like that one.
Well, this is F5 and all the really fun things.